Hey everybody, this is Ryan Pancoast, and if you've seen my other videos, you know generally how I paint, but once a painting's done, there's going to be areas of light and dark and areas of matte and gloss finish that you're really going to want to even out before you display the piece. And the solution to that is putting a layer of varnish on it. Now, everything I learned about varnish, I learned from experience, and also this book called The Artist Manual by Chronicle Books. I'm not sure if it's still in print, but it gives a good overview of everything you need to know about drawing and painting, including varnishing. So I'm going to show you how I take a painting like this, which is finished, but it's kind of uneven in the way light is hitting it, and turn it into a piece that I can put on a wall, put in a frame, and display. So lock up your dogs and cats and clean off a dust-free area, and we'll get started. Okay, so I'm in my basement. I've cleaned this area, this small area, slightly, so that there's not a lot of dust in this one particular area. I don't really have a station or anything set up for varnishing. I just try to clean an area and then use that. So what we have here is an old oil painting. It's about 9 months old and it needs a coat of varnish because I want to show it at a LuxCon. So the first thing I need to do is I need to clean the surface. So I have this damp rag. It's normally used to clean computer screens. I ran it under water so it's damp, and then I just want to rub. You just want to rub the surface and try to get as much hair and dust off of it as you can. The water is not going to hurt the painting at all. It's an oil painting and it's a pretty much cured oil painting, so there's no harm that can be done with water. So especially in the dark areas, you just want to clean it off and hold it up to the light and inspect that all the dust has been removed. And you want to clean the edges too, because this thing has been sitting down here for a couple months, and so it's collected a lot of dust and a lot of hair. So I'll just give this a quick rub and let it dry completely, and then probably tonight I'll varnish it. Alright, so now if you've cleaned the surface and everything's all set to go, you can start to varnish. I use this Artist Retouching Varnish from Winsor & Newton as the first layer, and that can go on once the painting is touch dry. Touch dry is kind of a loose term because often, like, I thought the painting was touch dry and there's some areas of white that then smear when you put the varnish on. And that's disappointing and frustrating. It's not the end of the world, but you just want to give it as much time as you can. The final varnish can go on 6 months after this, or up to 6 months to a year. So you want to pour it into your little dust-free bowl and use a clean brush. This flat Artist Loft brush is what I'm using, but you can use anything. So you get off the excess and you want to put down a thin layer of varnish across the whole surface. So you want to go across like this and down to spread it out to make sure it's nice and thin. You don't want to spend forever on this because you don't want dust to collect while you're doing it, but so then you go across the painting horizontally in whichever direction your painting is set up, composed, and you want to just kind of even out the surface as much as you can. And once you've done this, you really don't want to put your brush back into the tub of varnish to get more, because you don't want more varnish on the surface. You want enough, and then after that, your goal is to just even it out as much as possible. What you can do is then carefully lift it and inspect it in the light. Make sure that you have complete coverage. You can get little hairs out. I probably should be wearing gloves, but I'm not. You can get little hairs out with the edge of the brush and make sure that all of the edges are hit. And then once you're pretty sure that you have a full coverage, which I do now, I think, you can put down the brush and put it up against a clean wall or an area like this. And then you wait a few seconds, and while we're waiting, I'm just going to explain that in 6 months you can put on a final varnish, and I use this Liquitex Soluvar matte and gloss varnish, and I kind of mix them both together to create kind of like a medium gloss surface. Don't often do that because it's nerve-wracking, but anyway. So then after a couple seconds, you just want to switch the painting from top to bottom here so that the varnish runs down. So what it's going to do is going to collect on the lower end, and you just want to flip it around so the varnish runs back up the painting, so it's nice and even. And you can flip that around every couple seconds in increasing intervals until the varnish is pretty much set. So while you're doing that, you can clean off your brush and your tub of varnish with regular Gamsol, which is nice and safe, relatively, for mineral spirits. Cleaning off your final varnish, however, is going to require actual mineral spirits. I learned the hard way. If you use Gamsol and try to clean up your final varnish, it just gets like Elmer's glue. It's just completely goops up. So, whoops. So you just clean that up and put that into your collecting jar wherever you repurpose and collect your turpentine. I'm just going to inspect the surface again and flip it back. It's looking like a pretty even coverage. So, anyways, I'll clean up and continue to flip this around, and that should be a nice final surface. So that's it. You just keep the painting leaned up against the wall, and you keep rotating it periodically as the varnish dries. If you're working on canvas, it doesn't require a lot of babysitting, but if you are working on board, you kind of want to keep a close eye on it to make sure that the coverage of the varnish remains even throughout the drying process. You can leave it overnight, or better still, even a couple days, and then it should be ready to go right into a frame. In 6 to 12 months, you can put a final coat of varnish on it, and you don't even need to remove the retouch varnish. You just paint right over it. But the retouch varnish, you can get rid of it by rubbing it in Gamsol. That has worked. So anyway, so in a couple weeks I'll be back with a more interesting video. But in the meantime, please keep in contact with me on my Instagram and Twitter accounts, my Facebook page, my website, and also please subscribe to me on this YouTube channel. My goal is to get to 500 subscriptions so I can actually get a custom URL. So please subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the support, and thanks for watching.